Welcome to this explainer. Today we are systematically breaking down the absolute ultimate heavyweight clash between two legendary fictional entities. If you love digging into the lore, crunching the stats, and figuring out exactly how mythical titans stack up against one another, well, you are in the exact right place. We are pitting a literal master of cosmic horror against a world-ending mythological beast.
So, let's just dive right into this massive hypothetical scenario. What if Cthulhu fought the World Serpent, Jörmungandr? Would the cosmic horror wrap that great snake up in a bow, or would the World Serpent simply gulp him down like a giant, disturbing rat? Let's figure it out.
Challenger 1, Cthulhu. Let's step up to the scales and introduce our first fighter, the infamous High Priest of the Great Old Ones.
Right, so to really understand Cthulhu, we first have to understand his origins. He actually belongs to an ancient alien civilization called the Great Old Ones. They began hibernating deep beneath the earth following a massive war with the Elder Gods. So right off the bat, we're dealing with an ancient cosmic survivor here.
And you have to consider his genuinely terrifying physical form. He's described as an anthropoid creature, which basically means he's got a somewhat human-like shape, but with a head like an octopus, a face that's just a mass of tentacles, a scaly, rubbery body, and these long, narrow wings. I mean, he is massive, and he's extremely physically strong. But as we'll see in a minute, his true power actually lies somewhere else entirely.
And here's his ultimate passive defense mechanism. Cthulhu's appearance is so completely incomprehensible and hideous to humans that merely looking at him shatters the mind. It literally causes instant insanity. It's a terrifying thought, right? You don't even have to fight the guy to lose. You literally just have to look at him.
But this right here is where his real offensive power sits. While he's slumbering underground, he is already capable of invading and influencing human dreams. But based on other beings in this specific mythos, like Zoth-Amog, who can enter waking minds once he's above ground, Cthulhu's psychic ability to invade conscious, waking minds on the surface would be overwhelmingly powerful. He is, without a doubt, an absolute master of mental manipulation.
Challenger 2, Jörmungandr. Moving to the opposite corner of the ring, we've got the legendary sea serpent originating in Norse mythology.
Now, the absolutely crucial point to grasp here is the completely incomprehensible scale of this beast. In Norse mythology, Earth is called Midgard. Jörmungandr is so unbelievably massive that it encircles the entire Earth, holding its own tail in its mouth just to complete the ring. That is mind-boggling size.
Unlike Cthulhu's complex, alien anatomy, Jörmungandr is built purely for physical destruction. It possesses deadly venom, it's physically tough enough to battle Thor, and it can swallow a god whole. However, you've really got to notice that last point. It's generally considered to be a very low intelligence, and that might just be a critical weakness in this specific matchup.
Just to underline the stakes of what we're actually dealing with here, we are talking about a creature whose mere existence is tied to the apocalyptic end of the Norse world. The World Serpent is literally destined to set off Ragnarok. This is a creature of pure, world-ending destruction.
Okay, let's look at the tail of the tape. Let's see how these vastly different titans stack up side by side. You've got an alien cosmic horror against a Norse mythological beast. You have supreme psychic mind manipulation facing off against unfathomably massive size and deadly venom. And maybe most importantly, you have a highly intelligent alien entity going up against a beast with very, very low intelligence.
The matchup, brain versus brawn. With our fighters fully introduced, let's explore the dynamics of how this fight actually plays out.
When you strip it all down, it's psychic mastery on one side and physical annihilation on the other. Cthulhu is incredibly tough for sure, but he simply doesn't have the godly physical strength required to win a straight-up brawling match against the World Serpent. He absolutely has to rely on his mind. The Serpent, meanwhile, relies entirely on overwhelming physical mass and brute force.
Win condition: the Serpent. If Jörmungandr is going to win this fight, its strategy is going to be brutally straightforward.
Because so much of Cthulhu's power is psychic, he'd be incredibly hard-pressed to physically defend against this terrifying sequence of sheer physical trauma. Step 1. The Serpent, using its earth-spanning mass, could simply constrict the Great Old One until he's compressed into a ball. Step 2. It delivers a series of venomous bites to wear him down. Or, honestly, Step 3. It could quite literally just coil its massive body entirely on top of Cthulhu and crush him under the weight of the world.
Now you might be thinking to yourself, but wait, Cthulhu can regenerate. And yeah, that's true. But even if Cthulhu survives that initial physical onslaught and manages to regenerate, being swallowed whole by a creature renowned for eating gods, well, it leaves him completely trapped. He would likely just regenerate inside the dark, inescapable belly of the beast. Not a great place to be.
Win condition, Cthulhu. On the flip side, let's explore exactly how the Great Old One could actually secure a victory here. As we've established, he can't arm wrestle the snake. His win condition absolutely requires a much more tactical, cerebral approach.
First things first, we have to rule out his most famous party trick, making human enemies go instantly insane just by having them look at him, completely useless against a giant, ancient, mythic snake. The World Serpent simply isn't going to care what Cthulhu looks like. So this forces Cthulhu to use active, direct psychic invasion.
And here, this is the true crux of the entire battle. Because Jörmungandr has low intelligence, there are really two ways this goes. Option A, Cthulhu could easily invade the snake's simple mind, totally overwhelm it, and force it to quit the fight. Or, option B, the snake might just be too unintelligent and potentially protected by its godly North ancestry to even comprehend or receive that psychic manipulation. It might literally be like trying to perform Jedi mind tricks on a rock.
But even if direct mind control totally fails, Cthulhu is still incredibly intelligent. This gives him a solid chance to physically outsmart the serpent, maybe tricking the beast into making a massive, fatal tactical error. Although we do have to acknowledge that escaping danger by outthinking your opponent is exceptionally difficult when your opponent is quite literally large enough to wrap around the entire planet.
The final verdict. So, after laying out the lore, comparing the stats, and exploring those distinct win conditions in this explainer, who actually wins? Well, the verdict is highly conditional. It depends entirely on how their specific traits interact in that exact moment of combat. Everything hinges on whether the alien high priest's mind can breach the mythological beast's brain.
It all comes down to this one thing. If the fight stays purely physical, and Cthulhu cannot penetrate the serpent's mind, the world serpent's ridiculous size, toughness, and venom make it absolutely no contest. Jörmungandr wins hands down. But if Cthulhu successfully breaches the serpent's mind, he wins by default. He could force the snake to retreat or, if he was feeling particularly spiteful, he could use his psychic grip to force the world serpent to literally swallow itself. Now that we've mapped out the source material and broken down all the stats, the final answer really isn't set in stone. I want you to weigh the evidence. Does the mind conquer the mass, or does venom and sheer size crush the intellect? Who do you think takes the crown and why? Keep questioning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.